the more I researched about you, it wasn't just like, okay, I'm going to sell out Madison Square Garden 5 times in a row, which is what you've done. I'm going to sell out, this arena tour around the world, which is what you've done, and have all these Netflix specials and movies and TV shows, and you've become a massive star. But as I started to learn about your background, you were a waiter for 7 years in Hollywood, just trying to figure out how to make a few bucks. And it was hard to get a job as a waiter for you. And what I want to know is, how do you emotionally and mentally, in a time and a season of life where there's no social media really back then, how do you work full time, but also go on the road full time to make a name for yourself and go for your dreams? And I also read a quote that you said about how long you got to give yourself. Your mom asked you on this dream, this crazy comedian dream, when no one can really make money. Back in the day when you were kind of getting into it, she asked you how long you got to give to yourself until you make it. And you said, if I give myself a time limit, I'm setting myself up for failure. How did you have the belief in yourself during those early years as a waiter that you could actually make a full-time living making people laugh and bringing comedy to the world?
Well, for me, I always knew I had an ability to make people laugh throughout my whole life, my childhood, with my friends, with my family. So I knew I had something there. Just like an athlete would know that, okay, I'm faster than everybody else. I could jump higher than everybody else. I kind of had that with my comedy. I was a huge fan of stand-up growing up. I would watch it like game tape.
Really?
Yeah, I would watch.
That's cool.
Video after video after video, just mesmerized. How are they doing this? How are they remembering all this? I used to go to comedy clubs when I was 15 years old with a girlfriend that I had at the time who knew the guy and snuck us through the back door. This is in Rosemont, Illinois. So I had confidence. Now you come here in 98, I don't know a soul. I start looking for a job. I end up at the Four Seasons Hotel in Beverly Hills waiting tables. But I didn't come out here to wait tables. But also, I'm not the type of guy to sleep on somebody's couch. So I came out with 10 grand. I wanted to have a cushion. It's not like Guns N' Roses. He came out, Axl Rose with like a guitar and $4 in his pocket.
Right.
I've always been like responsible. Coming out here, my mother was like, what are you going to do for health insurance? Like a lot of entertainment types don't even bother with health insurance. Like I had a Cobra plan. So it was a priority for me and my family that I was like covered with health insurance. So I got this job, and then I started doing stand-up wherever I could. Open mic nights. I took a stand-up comedy class just so I would have a supportive environment around me. Because I didn't really do stand-up until I came out here. I did it once where I went to school at Northern Illinois University. But then
Edwardsville?
DeKalb.
Okay.
DeKalb.
Yeah. I went to school in Illinois for a little bit too.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Where?
Principia College. It's a small school near Alton, Illinois.
Don't even know where that is.
Hour from St. Louis.
Okay.
On the Mississippi River. Anyways.
All right. So coming out here, I was determined to learn how to do this. And I knew it wasn't going to be easy. I knew it was going to take a while. Comedy, I heard stand-up comedy, you don't really get your voice until maybe 7 to 10 years into it. There are exceptions. Eddie Murphy hit it big, young. But I knew that I had to really put the time and effort it was going to take. It's like bodybuilding, it's like you're not gonna look the way you look overnight. It takes time in the gym, it takes diet, it takes dedication. So I knew that. That's not to say that there was one point in my life where I called my father. I go, I don't know what the hell's going on. I've been doing this for 5 years. I'm still waiting tables. I'm not really making any money at this. I was discouraged, not ready to quit, but just needed like a pep talk.
Did you have any momentum? Were people laughing at the shows you were doing? Were you getting audiences to show up? Did you build a name or?
Not in 5 years. I didn't have like a fan base. I just was bouncing around. I took a kind of a different approach than a lot of comedians. A lot of comedians come out to Los Angeles from a place that they were already doing stand-up, whether it be Chicago, New York, Florida.
And they were like the king or the queen of that city.
Yeah, it's like, oh, it's time to go.
Ah.
Where I came and I didn't do any comedy anywhere other than here. So I had to kind of make my bones around town, which at that time, there was not a lot of opportunity as far as stand-up comedy. There's not a lot of clubs here in Los Angeles compared to New York. I think New York's got 21 comedy clubs. Here it was like 4 major clubs. But, you know, taking gigs wherever you could get them. I mean, if I had to go to Modesto for $50, which is a far drive, I would go because they were giving me 45 minutes worth of time. And then here locally, you get 15 minutes. So the extra half an hour for me was worth the drive. So
you call your dad?
I call my dad, you know, I did this in college too, because my first semester of college, I was discouraged because of, I was failing. I had a 1.2 grade point average out of 4 my first semester because I was shocked to be away from home. I was living with a roommate that I didn't know, just having a tough go of it, just tough. Called home, called my parents, you know, they kind of set me right, just because I was ready to quit. They're like, don't quit. Stay there, just, you know, stay the course. So same thing here. I called home. It's not, you know, it's waiting for like just to make some money. That's all I want. I didn't want like fame and fortune. I never got into this for fame or any money, nothing. This is something I got into strictly because I enjoy putting a smile on people's face. That's it. I think a lot of people go into some of these things for the wrong reason. And I was not, I had a work ethic. Like I worked constantly when I was a teenager, whether it be Olin Mills Portrait Studio, Olive Garden. I was glazing ham at Honey Baked Ham. There was no like, you know, you come home from college and then you get like a spring break. There was none of that. It was like, where you working?
Right.
Because you got 7 days to make some money.
What's that temp job you can get right now?
Yeah. Yeah, I was with a temp agency, anything to get money. Just because my dad is psychotic when it comes to work. He's still working. He's 77 years old. He's still, he's a hairdresser and he's still doing dye jobs. So I'm willing to put the work in.
Yeah.
So at that 5-year point, I was just kind of a little discouraged just because I didn't really see a lot of progress in the sense of making a living at this. I was making people laugh. I just was, you know, didn't book any, go on auditions, which was awful for me. I hate auditioning. Sitting there in a room, sweating and doing something that is not really natural to me. Mm-hmm. But, you know, kind of reset myself and then just said to myself, you know, you can't really look at other people's successes and say, hey, that guy got a TV show, how come I didn't? Everybody's got their own course. You might not realize it at the time, but if you're worried about other people and what they're doing, you're kind of taking the focus off yourself. So the only thing I could really concentrate on was just being as funny as I could be. That's it. That's the only thing I had control over. I didn't have control over how many people were going to come to the show. I didn't have control over when I was going to get paid for this. The only thing I could do is like, how funny can I get myself to be? And then after that, hopefully that will be enough to start making a living out of it. But I would say every year I found myself getting better and better and better. It's not like I went on stage and no one was laughing. I knew I had it. It's just, when is it going to kind of turn?